Hello, crafty friends. This is Jessica Lewis with Scrap Sprinkle Crop. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I'm coming to you to show you a project that I created to enter into my TGIF Challenge 350. This challenge features 3 colors: Night of Navy, Blushing Bride, and Gold. I love that color combination, so I went all out with this challenge. And so I want to show you what I created. I'm really excited. So I'm going to switch my camera over and we'll show you. Okay, let me take off the logo. And here we have the annual catalog and the celebration catalog. So I have 2 stamp sets that I'm featuring in these 2 catalogs. The first one is from the annual catalog by Stampin' Up! And it is featured on page 18. This is the Days to Remember stamp set, and I have been wanting to put something together with the stamp set and have not done it, and I finally got around to it. So I'm really excited to show you what I created for today's project. Also, I wanted to feature a stamp set from the Celebration catalog, and this runs through February 28th. And the stamp set is called Catching Butterflies, and here on page 6. I love this cute little stamp set, and I wanted to feature that on my project. So let's not go any further without showing you the project. This is the project. Let me zoom in a little bit closer. So these are the colors that I'm featuring, and it is a perpetual calendar. And I kid you not, I spent some time working on this throughout the weekend. So I think I finally got it to where I wanted it, and I'm ready to share it with you. So this is a perpetual calendar, like I said, and you raise it up like so. And all these are the months that you're going to be using. And what you do is you slide this back and forth to match the month that you're in. In this case, the first day falls on a Tuesday, so you slide it over to match the first day on Tuesday for the month of February. And you change that throughout the year. So I made these, I reinforced these, made them reusable. That way you can switch them out. They have a little bit of Velcro on the back, like that. And so what you do is just you take the month that you're in and you just stick it on there. And so I'm going to show you how to make this. I really do hope you like it because I think it's really fun. I'm going to set this aside and we'll get started with our supplies. So I'm going to start with a piece of basic white, and this is a thick cardstock, and it measures 8 inches by 6 inches, and I have it scored at 4 inches and 6 inches. Okay, so this I'm going to set aside for now because that's kind of the end of it, the end of the project. And we'll start with another piece of basic white thick cardstock, and it measures 6 inches by 4 inches. Okay, so I'm going to use this, and I'm also going to pull out 2 pieces of my Pattern Party Designer Series paper. It doesn't look like this because I already started doing a little bit of shading, but the paper looks like this down here. It's black and white, and it measures 6 inches by 4 inches. And we're going to have 2 of these pieces. One, you can see that I already shaded in Night of Navy, and this one I just got started on. So this one I'm going to set aside, and this one we're going to keep working on. Okay, so let me go ahead and take off my notes here. And I'm going to start off with, I have a little piece of scrap paper here, and here's the DSP, some Night in Navy ink, and some, this is my blending brush. So I'm just going to take some of that blending brush, and we're just going to do the top and the bottom. You don't really need to do the whole thing because it's really going to get covered up. So there's no point in spending that extra time. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my blending brush in a circular motion. I'm going to brush some of that ink onto the edges. And you see how that shading is coming out. And this, you do this on both edges. Like I said, the rest is going to get covered up and it really doesn't matter. Okay, so it's going to look like that. Set this aside. Okay, so this is what we have. So remember that piece of thick cardstock that I pulled out? It's going to be adhered. So I'm going to adhere, and this is only for reinforcement. I want it to be nice and sturdy because we will be using this calendar throughout the year. So I want to make sure that it's nice and sturdy. So all I'm going to do is just stick it down. I'm going to rub it from the back side. That way you won't get inky fingers. Okay. So that's what you have so far. Okay. And now I'm going to use a piece of brushed metallic cardstock, and this measures 6 by 3 3/4. And what I did is I used my basic borders dies. I used this particular die. This is the Rick Rack or the zigzag. I used this die for the top and the bottom and run it through my machine, my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And this is the finished look. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and adhere this piece. Uh-oh, I hope I'm not running out of tape. Sounds like I am. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go a little bit on the higher side. I'm going to line it up on the higher side over here on the top. Okay, so it's not going to be even at the top and at the bottom, and you'll see why. So the reason we're doing that is because whenever you do your finished product, this is going to be thicker at the top than it is at the bottom when you run it back and forth. Okay, so that's the reason. And so what we have next is we're going to have to do our calendar piece. And this is a piece of basic white cardstock that measures 6 inches by 2 inches. And I'm seeing that I have my fingerprint on there already. So I might end up using the back side. See, I have inky fingers. You got to be careful with those inky fingers. So you got to make sure that after you do your blending, your brushing, clean your hands with your chamois, and that'll help you clean it up. Okay, so set this aside for a moment, and I'm going to bring out my this is my, what's this tool called? The stamp what's it called? My stamping placement. Oh dear, I forgot what it's called. See, I'm losing my words here. Anyway, so what I did is I did a little bit of marking. So for my piece of basic white cardstock, I'm going to line it up with the corner of the square here, and I marked it in red. This little dot that I have right here is where I wanted to place my numbers. So this is 2 inches wide. These little squares are guides, and that really helps you figure out where the 2 inches are. So what I did is I made sure that my numbers are evenly spaced between the top and the bottom. The 30 and the 31 are spaced evenly from the same as the number 7 here. So hope that makes sense. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my my cardstock aligned with this corner, and I already placed my stamp here. Scoot it over a little bit. I'm going to put my magnet down and ink up this stamp with my Night of Navy ink. Okay, and you may want to stamp it a couple of times. So I'm going to stamp it this once, press down real good, and then pop that up. And I can see that my magnet kind of got in the way, so I'm just going to pull it up this way and ink it up again. Okay. Press it down real good. Okay, that looks great. I'm going to set this aside, pull that up, set this aside. Okay, so now we have our calendar here. Let me clean up my fingers on my chamois, just so I know that I'm not going to get inky fingers all over my white cardstock. Okay, so now we're going to bring this piece back, and we're going to adhere this in the center of the front. Okay. So in order to do that, I want to make sure that my frame, and I already have a pre-cut frame here, I just want to check it out. So I want to make sure that my frame is between the bottom of these corners of the rickrack, so it's going to be centered like this. Okay, so that's kind of my eyeball placement. You have to check it out. I'm not going to press it down all the way. I'm going to check it out one more time and make sure that it aligns the way I would like. Yeah, it looks like it's going to align pretty well. Okay, so I can go ahead and press that down, and I'll press it down on the back side of the cardstock just to not smear things. Okay, I think it's looking pretty good. So now we got to do the movable portion. This is a piece of Night of Navy cardstock, and I cut it, this is going to be my frame, and I cut it to 3 3/4 by 3. And what I did ahead of time is, let's see if you can see that pencil mark. So there's a pencil mark that I put. I did a 1/2 inch from the bottom, and I drew a line, okay? And that is going to set me up for what I'm about to do for the window. So here is another piece of Night of Navy cardstock that measures 2 3/4 by 1 5/8. And this is my window template. We're not actually using this as a part of the project, but it will be used. So now I need to take my pencil and place this window at the 1/2 inch mark that I did ahead of time at the bottom. And it's also a 1/2 inch from the right edge. So this little window, and I probably should have made it a different color just so you can see the contrast, but all I'm doing is I'm lining up the edges of the window with the pencil marks that I made. And all you're going to do is trace all around the edges of this window. Okay, so now you have some pencil marks on this piece. This is going to be your frame. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to take this and use your cutting tool. I used my why am I losing my words today? I'm using this tool right here. My paper tool, my paper trimmer, there we go. Use your paper trimmer and cut around the insides, okay? Just the inside. And what you're going to end up is something like this, okay? So now I'm going to heat emboss it in gold with the days that you choose. There's two choices that you have from the stamp set. You have the week that starts on Monday or the week that starts on Sunday. The Sunday is more traditional, and that's what I went with. I went with the traditional format. So I heat embossed this in gold on the window, and it looks like this. Okay. So this is going to be my frame that I'm going to set for the numbers. Okay. You need a belly band. Excuse me. This is a 90 navy piece, and this is going to act as your belly band, and it measures 6 3/8 by 1 inch. Okay. So this belly band is going to get wrapped behind this piece of cardstock, and all you're going to do is you're going to fold it such that it'll line up with the back of your frame, and you're going to adhere that. Okay. So I'm going to put some strong adhesive. I would recommend some Stampin' Seal Plus or some sticky tape, tear and tape adhesive. That's what I mean. And I'm going to place some adhesive, put plenty on there that way. That way it adheres well. Okay, so have your belly band. It doesn't matter where you place your belly band along the cardstock, but just make sure that this lines up with it. So I'm going to start with the bottom piece and stick it down here, and then the top piece, stick it down. Okay, press it down real good. Okay, so now you have your frame. This is your belly band, and I made mine pretty, it's pretty firm the way it slides. You can play around with it to see how you like it, but it does slide. Okay, it works. Okay, so this is your main pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this aside for a moment, and I'm going to show you. I went ahead of time. I stamped my image with Versamark ink onto the basic white cardstock, and I embossed it with gold. So I did that ahead of time. You don't need to watch me emboss, but I'm going to color it for you. And I'm going to use Night of Navy marker. This is a Stampin' Right marker. Blushing Bride. And this is a Stampin' Blend, and this is the Ivory for her skin. So I'm actually going to start with the Ivory. And I notice I have some ink on my Stampin' Blend, and that might transfer over to my fingers, so I'm going to clean it off. Okay, I'm going to take this fine tip, and I'm going to color her skin first. And you got to be careful. These are very small areas, so take your time to color it. Color her skin, her face, her ears. Take your time and do it right. Me, I'm going to be rushing a little bit more, just trying to get through the coloring. I did not do any shading for her skin. I think it looks fine. So that is her skin. And then for the Blushing Bride marker, I used the brush tip, and I colored her little dress. And I just did one stroke throughout the different areas here, trying to be careful not to overlap. Like that. So I am highlighting a little bit of the dress with my marker and just going across like this, and that's all I'm doing for her dress. So now I'm going to take my Night of Navy, and this is the brush tip, and I'm actually going to color her hair, and you got to be very careful to do this, okay? You got to just color her hair in Night of Navy, and once you're done, you're just going to take a tissue and tap, 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 tap all the excess ink, okay? And you can see some of the excess ink come off. You're going to cut that out. Unfortunately, we do not have dies, so I have fussy cut that out for you ahead of time. That way you won't have to see me fussy cut. And this is what she looks like. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this image from the Catching Butterfly stamp set. I wanted a single butterfly, however, this one was a little small, so I went with a larger image, and this is the image that I used here. So I stamped that onto a piece of basic white with Versamark ink, and then I gold embossed it. And I cut it out, and it looks like this. Okay, I did gold embossing, and then I colored it with the Blushing Bride marker, and I did the same thing that I did with her dress. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is this will go onto this piece here with some dimensionals, and I used mini dimensionals on the back side. So the mini dimensionals are going to help with, I'm going to put it here on the bottom. It's going to be on this side of her, of the image. So I'm going to do it here on the back side, as well as this here. And then one more, let's see, how am I going to place her? I'm going to place her like this. So really, you just need it here on her head, and I'll probably just put one here. And this is to help with the stability of the image. Like I said, we're going to be using this all year, so we want it to be nice and sturdy. Excuse me. So now we can place this little lady right here, making sure not to go over into the window. You don't want to cover that up because that's where our numbers are going to be. Okay, so this is how she looks. And then I'm going to take this little butterfly, and I'm also going to use a mini dimensional, and I'm going to place that here in the top corner like that. Okay, it's coming along, it's looking good. Okay, now the next part is I'm going to take another piece of, just a scrap piece of Night of Navy, and what I did is I heat embossed in gold the greeting that says "Celebrate Every Beautiful Thing" from the stamp set. And because it's all it's from top to bottom, I really wanted the words side by side. So in order to do that, I actually have to cut them out individually. And I just did that with my scissors, and I'm cutting really close to the ends of the words, really close. And that's in order for me to be able to fit these words in between my frame piece. Okay, so you're going to trim those words up, and I'm actually going to trim right up against each letter for the words like this. I know it's tiny to work with, but that's what we have. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take some Tombow glue. I got to grab my Tombow glue. Here's my Tombow glue, and I'm just going to take the first word, celebrate, put a little bit here on the back, and then stick this. I'm going to bring it closer to me so I can see. And I'm going to stick this right up against her leg. Okay. And then celebrate every is the next word. Like that. Every. And then the word beautiful. You might want to use some tweezers to kind of help you pick these pieces up. They're very small. Like I'm struggling right now. Should have grabbed my tweezers. Every beautiful. And the word thing. A little bit of Tombow glue right up against there, and it overlaps just a tad, but that's okay. It looks fine. Okay. All right. Okay, it's coming along. So let's see. The next part is our months. So this one's a little bit more tedious, is the months that I'm doing. And I have a little tip for you. Let me set this aside. So what I did is I used my Stampin' Trimmer, and I'm going to do it this direction so you can see like that. And I took a piece of Blushing Bride. This is Blushing Bride, right? Is that what we're using today? Yes, Blushing Bride. And this is just a 1/2 inch strip, 1/2 inches by 11 inches long. And the trick to this is you want to get 12 months out of this strip. You might need another strip, but what I did to quickly cut out these pieces, you're going to need 12 strips that measure 1.5 inches. Okay, and so what I did is I just cut it out at the 1.5 inch mark, and then you'll just cut all these pieces out. And that's probably the fastest way to be able to get 12 1.5 inch pieces. Okay, so once you have that, you're going to stamp all your months. Okay, the months are from the Days to Remember stamp set. You'll have all 12 months from this stamp set. And the fastest way is to mount. I mounted 2 stamps on one block. One's on this side, and I turn it around and put the other one below it so I can see where I'm stamping. So the Night of Navy ink, a little bit of ink, and then you stamp it in the center of your strip. Okay, and you do that for all 12 months. Once you have all those, I put together, I wanted to make them sturdy. And in order to make them sturdy, I used these self-seal laminating pouches. I do not have a laminator, so this was the next best option, is to use the laminating pouches. You can buy these at any office store. And so this is what I used. So this is what one piece looks like from this pack. And unfortunately, the front side is not sticky, but this side is sticky. So I was thinking, how am I going to stick all my laminate onto my little blocks? So what I did is, in order to do that, I used my adhesive sheets. I placed some of my adhesive sheets onto this piece of the laminate. Okay, and then I went and I took, once I had the adhesive on this part of the laminate, I took the front side and I stuck it down like so. Okay, and I did that for all 12 months. Once all the months are there, I removed this piece, and once I removed that, I set it over and I adhered the back side. Okay, so what you end up having is a laminated piece like this. So you can see it's shiny, you can see the shine on it, so that means it's laminated on the front and on the back. Okay, that was the easiest way I could do it. I'm sure you can find a different way if you have your own thermal laminator or something similar. So once I have all my months, and I have them all here, I prepared them ahead of time. so you won't have to see me do it. Each month is going to get some Velcro. And this is what I used. I have some Velcro, and I ordered this on Amazon. I get 200 circles because I use it a lot for our household, for my kids and organizing and such. So that's what I use them for. So this is the strip that I'm using. I just cut off a strip for my box, and I cut them in half. I cut both pieces in half. You have the fuzzy side, and then you have the rough side. So I cut them all in half. Okay, and for this piece here, I'm going to take a half of a piece of the rough, and I'm going to stick it down right towards the top and the middle of this calendar piece. Okay, so that's going to stay there. That's going to be fixed. And what that's going to do is you can switch out all the months. So you got February, you're done with February, then you switch out to where's March? Here's March, and then you adjust your calendar accordingly. So that's I think that's pretty fun. I really like it. Okay, so you just got to be careful to not pull too tight on that. Okay, so now that we have all that Velcroed down, we're going to come back with our original piece that we our basic white cardstock that we scored. And this one we're going to fold it at the score lines. This is the 4-inch score line. I'm going to use my bowl folder and press that down real good. Then I'm going to fold in the other piece and score that, press it down real good. Okay, so now on this tab right here, you're going to place adhesive only on the sides. Okay, and I did plenty of adhesive here. I did 2 lines of adhesive on each side. So what you want is when you place this on top of here, you don't want the slider to get stuck. So when you slide this over to the 30, that's your stopping point, and it's perfectly fine. It won't be stuck to the adhesive. Okay, just make sure you have that room for the adhesive. So I'm going to I'm going to press this down real good. I'll probably do the back side here. Okay, press it down real good. Okay, so that's your piece there that you have. And then this is the finished piece that we did earlier. Just put some adhesive on the back side, and this is going to be stuck down here at the bottom like this. And I'm going to rub it on the back side because I don't want to get inky fingers. Okay. Okay, so we're getting close to the finish line. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick all my months here. This is where I want them. So the fuzzy side of oh no, actually not the fuzzy side. I already put the fuzzy side on the back here, as you can see. And so January is going to be up here. So I need to make room for the rest of my months. And that'll be, I'll start with, let's see, let me flip these over so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, now I'm moving on to February. Here's February, and I'm going to stick this part down like that and peel it off. Okay, so now you got the rough side stuck on the fuzzy side, and that is going to get stuck on here. Okay, and it is going to stick out a little bit off the edge, but that's because I want to make sure that all my months fit. I'm going to start with February, and I'm going to do December just to kind of help me. I'm going to go back and forth on how I stick these down. Let's make sure that this is stuck down there. And like I said, it's going to stick out a little bit on both sides. February, December. Let's go over here with March. Stick this down. Pull off the Velcro. And then we're going to stick it down. And I'm sticking all of them down really close to each other, side by side. And then I'm going to come over here and go with November. November. So I hope you're following me. I know this is a little bit more avid, more involved project, but once you finish the end product, I think it's going to be so much fun. I really enjoyed putting this together. At the beginning, I wasn't, because it was quite complicated. However, when I got it to where I wanted it, I was happy with the end product. So I hope you're able to follow along with me and push pause as you're following along. Okay, just a little bit more was April, May. Okay, stick it down. May goes right here, and then September here. I will be having a list of all my supplies and links and such on my blog post, and I'll be sure to share that with you at scrapsprinklecrop.blogspot.com. That's where I'll have my post to share all the dimensions and everything that you'll need for this project. All right, and as you can see, we have just enough room for one more. I was a little nervous. I didn't think I was going to get it fit in there, but it fits right here. Oops. Okay, just barely. Okay, so this is the finished product. Okay, make sure you score this. I need to score this a little bit. I need to press it down. There we go. Okay, so now it's pressed down, and you could mount it like this, and then you are all set to go. You can move this back and forth to the month that you need, and voila, you have your little perpetual calendar. I really hope you enjoyed this little project and that you like this video. Feel free to share it with your friends, your families on how to create this fun perpetual calendar. And I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to comment on my blog post. Again, that's scrapsprinklecrop.blogspot.com. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.